Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, the host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. Today is Wednesday, and that means it's a book review of some kind, and today is a comic book review. And it's going to be something unique because we've done superheroes and we've done dinosaurs, and we've done dinosaurs and superhero comic books, but we haven't done a Western comic book. So we're going to talk about Two Gun Kid number 89, which is published in has a published date of September uh, uh, 1967. So it was probably September, August, July, June, May or June. I think they were published monthly at the time. Cost you a whole $2 to $2.75 for a subscription of 12 issues, bi-monthly. So, you know, anyway, I was not big into this, but before we get too much further into that, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and just watch a little longer than normal. This won't take too long. These are pretty easy, um, probably be pretty short. Be that as it may, let's ride. All right, so I'm going to be, as always, this is my actual physical copy. Let's see, I'm going to turn this off because it helps a little bit. And it's got all the pages. This is one, it's got two stories in it. We'll go over the second one just quickly, simply because it's ridiculous. But this promises to be the biggest Western of them all. But the idea is there. The idea is good, but unfortunately, it doesn't really work out that way. So, having said all that, it's a fun story. It's the first team up of all three characters. Two Gun has an interesting history, much like both Kid Colt and the Rawhide Kid. Ever notice how they're all kids? I think there's never any like Rawhide Man, or I don't know. There's the only one I can think of is the Phantom Rider. But and the Masked Raider or Lone Raider. What was his name? Two Gun. Let's see. I'm looking here. Masked Raider. That's who was their he debuted in Marvel Comics #1. So and we all know that was the Submariner. He's probably overshadowed by both the Submariner and the Human Torch and Kazar and the Angel and Anyway, so we'll look at some of the panels and pages and talk about it and wrap things up there. Ready? Let's ride some more. Two Gun's horse is named Thunder. So there's our comic book, or my cover right there that we've seen. It's in good condition. I got it from my comic shop. It's in very good minus. I'd say that's good for a comic that's 60 years old, almost 60 years old. Looks great. Now, I did read a lot of these because my brother had a bunch of them. The reprints they had in the 70s, that Marvel was putting out in the 70s of all their Western. They had Two Gun and the Kid Colt and Rawhide Kid all had their own comic books. They had a quarterly, one that team had them all. But I don't ever remember reading this team up before. I had seen Rawhide Kid and Kid Colt meet each other. This is the first time old Two Gun showed up. Now, Two Gun he was two characters. First one was Clay Harder, who debuted in Two Gun #1 from 1948 and ran 11 more adventures, and did wear a mask. So they didn't, and his horse was named Cyclone. Now, his adventures weren't, that was back then. He wasn't a lawyer. Was he a lawyer? I don't know. So it was their first ongoing Western title, and but then in 1962, Matt Hawk, who they've now retconned to Matt Leibowitz, go figure, is a lawyer from Boston, And he's come out to the Wild West, and he was inspired by the fictional stories of Clay Harder, the Two Gun Kid. So he trains, and he gets there. He's got a horse named Thunder and a partner named Boom Boom and a pair of pistols. So he teams up with the Kid Colt, Phantom Rider, and who knows who else. Uh, we'll talk about both the Rawhide Kid and Kid Colt and the original Ghost Rider at some point in time. He was the only one who ever really had a supervillain, and unfortunately, this story lacks a real threat to get them all together. Two Gun would go to the would come to our present, his future, in the 70s and fight alongside the Avengers with Hawkeye. They were buds. Then he went back, and now I don't know what else has gone on, aside from him being retconned to be Jewish. So here's our first page, and it starts out with Rawhide. And they use the term Ranny here a lot. I meant to look that up. I thought it was a bad, like a slang, but apparently it's just something. But they have Podna in here. They really try to do the Western talk. And fails. Now, this was edited by Stan, but written by Gary Friedrich, because by now Stan was busy writing Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, and many, inventing and co-creating, I should say, because he really didn't invent by himself in whole cloth. It was drawn by Ogden Whitney, who's one of my favorite artists because he is the co-creator of the super-powered novelty character Herbie Popnecker and his satiric superhero, his alter ego, the Fat Fury. And I love Herbie Popnecker. Don't make me bop you with this here lollipop. I've already figured out what next week's book's going to be. It's not going to be about the Fat Fury, but he's going to be in it. Anyway, his art's a little cartoony here. It's not Jack Kirby, and nor should it be. Anyway. So there we go. He's coming. So here's our whole MacGuffin there. It's a stagecoach holdup. And off we go. Down he goes. He gets winged. It looks like I'm hit. Oof. And then riding along there's Kid Colt. Now, Kid Colt is the one I know least about. I asked my brother. He said the Rawhide Kid was his favorite, but Two Gun here was his secret favorite. My brother was just here recently, and I wish I'd have thought to have him on the podcast. So, Eric, next time you're out here, we'll talk about some more of these westerns. Actually, I think this is the only one I have, but I do have a Marvel Essentials starring the Rawhide Kid, who has two origins as well. I don't know if Kid Colt has. Oh, look, the Outlaw Kid. They're all kids. There was the Ringo Kid. At least Jonah Hex wasn't called Kid, right? But be that as it may. So, and right away, we don't see him off panel because it's the Marvel style, but there he is. They all meet. Now, Two Gun is a duly deputized officer of the law because Matt's a lawyer and can't really. But they're trying to convince him that he's making a mistake. But he's like, nope. They give themselves up and ride into town. And this Pig Porter, I don't know, his name's Pig. He gets all of them all the villagers, townspeople riled up. Baseball fans are crazy. I'm just going to leave it at that. And they go after, but there's Boom Boom right there. And so they're going to bust a bill. Now, old Pig there is actually the one who did the stagecoach, but they're fixing to blame the kids, Rawhide and Colt, not Two Gun. But Two Gun gets him out. I think that Boom Boom knows his secret identity, but I'm not 100%. Once again, in unfamiliarity with the characters. But he had a continuing storyline. The Rawhide Kid and Kid Colt just wandered all over creation in the West, helping out. They didn't stick around very long because they were outlaws. And then we have a renegade, which but the kid saves the Kid Colt saves Two Gun, and then they're like, but they still that's another point in your favor, and another point because every rattlesnake in the West was out to bite you and kill you, even though they didn't want to. That was their last defense. So, what do you want? But they killed a lot of rattlesnakes, and they were always gigantic. They weren't. This one wasn't coiled up or anything. But ping, zing. That makes 2 points in your favor when it comes to your trial. And eat some dirt. Some hombres taking pot shots at us. Maybe those, yeah. But no, it's Big Porter there. They're after him. So now Rawhide says those are the hombres that they talk him into you know giving them their shooting irons back. Oh, you would think she is a true tortie. So off he goes because they got to bring him in so he can clear the kids, the Colt and Rawhide. Gee, many Christmas. There's too many kids in this book. Big Porter. But unfortunately, I just hear the Johnny Quest yell as he falls down and kills himself. But they're ready to go back to be get cleared right onto Tucson. But Dugan says, "No, your ace is in my book." So off they go. Even though Porter didn't confess. So it's a good story, but why didn't they have a super? Make it be a whole issue long. It's 17 pages, and this thing ran. I don't know. There's like I said, here's some more shop by mail stuff. You just gotta love these. Electric guitar for $12.95. Bought my first real 6-string for only $12.95. This was in the summer of '67. So there's old Charles Atlas. And yeah, she's sitting on my 60-year-old comic book. Just plopped herself right down there. But here's the announcement. This is there stands tiny little soapbox there. Make your letters shorter. Make your letters pages longer. And here's our second story here. Sal Brodsky, Herb Trimpe, Hulk artist, Godzilla artist, Shogun Warriors artist. Wonderful man. Met him at the Comic-Con several years before he passed away. Just really nice. Good, fun panel. You can even tell he's got a little Jack Kirby in him even by now. But now we got a new sheriff in town. So, and here's our bad guy trying to bribe him. She was not deterred after the first time. X-ray vision. So many kids, so many dumb teenage boys got that. And look, master of karate, so you can have unagi. Here you go, Lilith. Unagi. Always aware. This guy was in danger, but he shoots them all and scares them out of town. So apparently setting them straight. I'm just a peaceful, ordinary citizen. So, and then she's helping me with the letters section, which only has, look, Tony Isabella, who became a comic book writer and has a new name now, and he goes by both. She goes by both. I forget, but is just a wonderful person and a great writer. He was a co-creator of a certain furry Catwoman I have on my arm, but his favorite character is the Rawhide Kid, and did a lot of them. The Panther, Billy the Kid, Jesse James. Yeah, I have to agree with him. Prop back. And who is that? Kathy Zine. So anyway, apparently Two Guns answering the letters himself. So and some more, shirts, sweatshirts, and everything. Look at, they were at least getting into some merchandising, not action figures yet. Go figure on that. And then that is our end of this issue. So let me check something here real fast. Oh, that happened in a hurry. Tell you what, let's add a second comic book here. All right. This is since we had such a short one, this is our second comic book, which is Kona, Monarch of Monster Isle. And I got this for at Time Warp Comics for $4.25 in fair condition. It's pretty chewed up down here. You'll see it on the pages coming up. but it's worth it. It's an interesting concept, and again, the execution is kind of dull, but nothing to be nothing that you shouldn't expect. I'm not taking it out because if I do, I'm afraid it's going to disintegrate. I might take it apart and scan the pages in, but I don't know if it's worth all that effort. You can buy a compilation of these on some websites that have done this self-published stuff because I think it isn't in the public domain. Okay, so let's roll. I did open it up. I hadn't realized how damaged it actually is, as you can see by this picture. I don't know why it's not in widescreen, but Kona debuted in 4 comics. This one right here, number 1256, dated February 1962, and then his own self-titled one started with issue 2, this being issue 1, June 1962, and managed to run for 21 issues, which is pretty good. I think pretty good for a Dell comic. And it was plotted by Don Segal and scripted and drawn by Sam Glanzman, and then later stories were scripted by Paul S. Newman, who would be doing more dinosaurs with Turok. So it starts out. Well, let's just go here, and there's a much better copy of the cover. And just refreshed, probably redone, touched up there. So it runs like all 36 pages, and boy, it's beat up. So these two, this is Henry Dodd and his wife, daughter Mary, and grandchildren Mason and Lily all go off. And Lily's a little tattletale, and because Mason fell asleep without saying his prayers. And then, of course, they crash onto an island with all sorts of things, including something mysterious, which is the T-Rex. Somehow, who's that grab there? Oh, it must be Mason there. The rifle, a misfire. There he is, Kona. That's the first time we see Kona, chief of the Neanderthal men and monarch of Monster Isle. And then there's a gigantic snake, which would not have been. They weren't. I mean, there were some big snakes in the Mesozoic, but they weren't that big. And then there's Pithecanthropus men, but they're at war with There's Kona, who can speak his name apparently, and but the Triceratops obey him, the dinosaurs obey him. So, and they're I mean, it's a good looking book. There he is, a nice pinup of him. And now they've trained the Neanderthals to use guns. Great. And they're going to commit genocide on these Australopithecus men, or Pithecanthropus. What did he call them? Pithecanthropus. So, I don't know. They're not the worst looking T-Rexes, actually. Although those jaws are something else. So this is pretty much what the whole show is about, or the whole comic book is. They're just trying to survive here, and then now, will they get away off the island? But that's how it ends. So again, it goes on. Like I said, it ran another 20 issues, so it's pretty impressive. And then, of course, we have the last page here. Told you it would go by pretty quickly. Uh-oh, it's a Daisy BB gun. Not a Red Ryder BB gun with a compass in the handle and this thing that tells time. And if you don't think I see a BB gun and think that right away, then you're going to get yours too. All right. Well, we're going to let Ralphie be the end. Well, he won't be the end. I should let him be then, because there's Red Ryder. I don't see anything compass in the handle, but maybe that was an earlier model. And there's another issue of Kona, where he's in civilization or the future or something. Boy, he looks more like Kazar there, who's not he looks like a Cro-Magnon rather than a Neanderthal. But having said all that, my fellow agents, I hope you've enjoyed these comic books as much as I. Rawhide Two Gun Kid was much more enjoyable than And that's me saying that a Western, picking a Western over a dinosaur stuff. So go figure. But until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off and actually riding off into the sunset.
Alive after 70 million years. Dinosaurs! Roaring, walking, destroying. Dinosaurus! The most amazing adventure since the beginning of time. Dinosaurus! For these people, there could only be shock and dismay. For who among them could believe that out of the primordial slime had come these creatures? The huge Brontosaurus, the ferocious Tyrannosaurus, even a primitive caveman. Panic-stricken, horrified, did they have the courage, the ingenuity to survive?
How do we get word out, Hacker? Mailboat will be in tomorrow morning. By tomorrow, we could all be dead.
We are going to be friends, you and me.
Sights never before seen on the screen. A 60-ton dinosaur tamed by a small boy and a caveman. A caveman loose in a modern home. The death duel of the dinosaurs. A girl caught by the dread Tyrannosaurus. The battle between giant monster and monster machine. The moat of fire.
It's holding him. Yeah, but for how long?